Here. Let's see. This here. Mm, mm, there we go. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna go live in just a second. Let's make sure we're live on well, that I'm live by myself tonight. Let's see. Yeah. There we go. Wait for that to load. That hasn't loaded yet. See if I can get that to reload. Hmm. Well, when my chat appears, I'll type something in there. It hasn't appeared yet. So I'm going to start recording. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the Goldfish Report. I'm your host and researcher, Louisa. Today is Friday, May 2nd, 2025. This is Goldfish Report number 1151. And this week is we're not going to be doing a food for the soul because Mark is away this weekend. So I hope he has a lovely weekend or travel, whatever he's doing. And so tonight's going to be a POTUS report, and it's really long overdue. And I know everybody misses my POTUS report. So here we go. We're going to be getting started in just a minute. I just want to double check on the live stream real quick. Yeah, I'm going to just put a note in here. Pretty sure we're on Facebook tonight. I don't know. Could be, did we do last week? I don't know. No, I think it's supposed to be Facebook. Is it supposed to be Facebook? Darn. See, this is like the first time I got confused, actually. Hi, Marisha. How are you, dear? Okay, so I'm going to say, I'm solo. Okay. Hi, Marisha. Nice to see you, dear. Yeah, I just hope that I was supposed to go on YouTube this week, but whatever. I'm doing a POTUS report this week, and there's a lot of information to talk about. Um, I'm going to start by screen sharing some of the news from the week, because it's very significant. Uh, actually, yeah, I just need to share that and video sharing. So let's get on with this. I'm going to stop sharing because that wasn't the screen I wanted. But the tides are turning. They really are. And we're starting to, I think the Great Awakening is about to turn it up a notch. Why do I say that? Well, let's take a look at what has been in the news. We have a Boston judge here that's set to face a hearing for helping illegal migrants slip out of court to avoid ICE agents. Now, when have you ever heard about judges being arrested? Just not until recently, really. I mean, once every 20 years. Is that was basically the frequency of it, right? And now we're starting to see that there's an operation that the judges are being held accountable. You know, you have to look at this as a long-term project. I'm going to get to that a little bit more toward like the big, 40,000 foot view. Okay. I'm going to look at the big picture towards the end of the report. But that's significant. The fact that we have arrests of judges is huge. Judges have historically been protected. They actually are British aid, they're a British accreditation registry, so they're foreign agents. They don't disclose that to us, but that's what they are because they are registered to the Queen. So essentially, they are here working for the Queen to always make sure the Queen always got her cut of everything that Americans did. That really is another report for another time, but essentially, that's what I mean by them being a foreign agent. Okay, so this is a big deal. This isn't the only revelation that is, or I should say, disclosure that's being made. This is the end time. This is the time when the corruption Like, in other words, folks, there's no way to move forward in our society at all with this corruption continuing. And Trump is well aware of this. And Trump, for all intents purposes, is really in charge of a massive cleanup operation, is really what it is. And it's a military operation. And for those of you who doubted Q, you shouldn't. I mean, I think there's times that everybody can doubt Q and its authenticity, but it's there's technology, and I'm going to get into this a little bit more into the report, but there is technology that has been hidden from us, very advanced technology, um, things that are very hard for us to understand at our level of science. Science has been controlled, math has been, not math so much, but physics has been controlled. Um, a lot of subjects have been controlled. Okay. This bug, ugh, this is a bug. The warm weather brings the bugs, right? Doesn't it? So let me just say hi to everyone in the chat. Hi, Karen. Hi, Cheryl. Yay, a POTUS report. Karen, exactly. Yeah, a couple of bigwigs from the Pentagon got arrested too. So there's a changing of the guard on the planet. It's time to get rid of the corruption. Our society, essentially, this was really going to alter our timeline. If we didn't get some divine intervention. And I'll explain that too. There's definitely been divine intervention. You can define divine any way you like, but let's keep going. Cryptic Christie, hi, honey. Yeah, so just so you know, Mark isn't here today. He is away for the weekend, so I'm flying solo, but we're doing a POTUS report, and you don't want to miss this information. So in case you did, I'm screen sharing some of the headlines of the week. Wait a second. I got to click on this. It's always so labor intensive. Okay, so let's take a look. So I was just talking about how finally you see now more frequently judges are starting to be arrested. These are the, these are part of these arrests that are happening. Look, Robert F. Kennedy is looking to ban all soda and candy from the United States food stamps program. Well, that's good. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the other news, and it's really quite astonishing. And speaking of Robert F. Kennedy, this is a moment, this is quite interesting. I'm going to play this, and in case you missed it this week, this is what happened during the 100 days. Trump had his cabinet come together and talk about, what they did, and take a listen.
We have ended HHS as the role as the vector, the principal vector in this country for child trafficking. And during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we have ended that, and we're very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, the 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration. We have...
Whoa. I hope everybody heard that. Yeah. So you have Bobby Kennedy talking about, Robert Kennedy Jr. talking about how under the Biden administration, HHS, Health and Human Services, was a vector for child procuring and for child trafficking and child sex and child, this is huge, folks. This is huge. And I'll tell you, his father would be very proud of him right now for what he just did. And although he's still working on all of this, he says he got rid of the Department of Health and Human Services, or got rid of that problem. We'll see. Where did the 300,000 children go? Oh, wait, you're not going to want to know. They're not going to get him back. I doubt it. I doubt they're going to get him back. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. But this is the age of disclosure and everything. Get ready, buckle in, because we're about to have a very interesting summer with all of this disclosure that's happening. Let's continue. What else has been happening? This is huge. We have Tom Homan. Take a listen to this. He's in charge of customs. I'm sorry, in charge of border security. Take a listen to what he's saying.
So, the president signed an executive order just this week threatening to defund sanctuary cities for their policies. Why not just arrest the leaders who are harboring and shielding illegal aliens, actually terrorists, from deportation?
Wait to see what's coming.
So, the president signed an executive order.
So, in case you couldn't hear, a reporter said the president signed an executive order, and that why can't he just sign an executive order to arrest all of the, um, you know, politicians that voted, or that have sanctuary cities, or all the governors of the states, or the towns, or whatever. And Tom Homan said, wait till you see what's coming. So, folks, this is where, the rubber meets the road. We're at a point where we're probably getting ready to move into, I mean, there have been arrests going on, as I just reported about the judge, but the judges are coming down. We're wait until you see what's going to happen with this Epstein case, and I'm going to report on that in just a minute. Here you have Tom Homan talking about sanctuary city leaders because they're harboring and shielding illegals from deportation. So he was like, the look on his face, he was like busting. He like couldn't wait to just answer that question, right? And then, but this is the sad part here, right? So RFK claims that Biden's HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking. This is huge, and this is just a repeat of what he had said again. The kids as young as 8 are drugged and trafficked into the U.S. by smugglers. Child sex trafficking reports a triple under Harris and Biden. Wait until you find it. It is all going to come out. It's all going to come out. This is just the trickle. This is, believe me, I mean, an avalanche is coming. So, what happened? Why were they in favor of it? And you're going to get that as well. So, continuing with disclosure, what else do we have? Well, a declassified CIA document from 1987 reveals that extraterrestrial beings live right here on Earth. They have bases in Alaska, Africa, and Saturn's largest moon, Titan. We have run into 3 types of entities within the solar system, allegedly. So clearly there's some kind of alien presence that's a predator to humanity, right? Because I don't know there's that many humans that want to engage in these kinds of things, but this is part of it. Stephen Miller, also from the Trump administration, just torched Kamala Harris and said the only thing, well, I'll let you hear it. You'll hear it for yourself. But the press made a big mistake messing with the Stephen Miller.
Hey, we read another story. Every day we arrest, the only thing Americans want to hear from Kamala Harris is an apology for joining Joe Biden. Remember, she was the border czar, joining Joe Biden in aiding and abetting the invasion of our country. And we're never going to stop talking about this because what they did to this country is unforgivable. It is an eternal stain on the Democrat Party. Every day we read another story. Every day we arrest another alien they let into this country who raped a child, who beat a woman within an inch of her life, who murdered a mom, who murdered a dad, who trafficked drugs into this country, who trafficked fentanyl into this country, who are responsible for dead and slaughtered Americans. And I don't know what's broken in the Washington press corps, that none of that moves them emotionally. The only thing that gets them exercised is, do we need to have more trials for terrorist supporters? Do we need to have more trials for gangbangers? Do we need to have more trials for illegal alien invaders? Even though Congress and the Constitution clearly say that you can expel invaders and illegal aliens quickly, efficiently, and properly. This president has literally saved America, and I could not be prouder. I could not be prouder, as I know Caroline feels the same way, to come every single day to this building where we have a leader sitting in office whose first, last, and every thought is the safety, prosperity, security, and sovereignty of the citizens. That's an important word, people. Citizens of this republic.
Did you hear that? Of this republic. All right. Well, that's very telling. That tells us that Trump presided over the bankruptcy of the United States Corporation, United States of America Corporation. He's presided over the bankruptcy, which means it's dissolved. The USA Corporation is dissolved. So it would be nice to get like official words from the government, right? That, okay, we're back to a republic. We were a corporation. They don't explain any of that. Let's keep going. This is another problem, this organ harvesting problem, but this isn't part of the POTUS report. But you can come to my Twitter page, please, and look at this. Brain death is not a real thing. Even if the brain had no activity, the heart's beating, you're still alive. And it's an organ harvesting scam. So please check that out when you come to the page. But now we're dealing with, aside from the child trafficking, the human trafficking, all of that, and the crimes associated with that, the money laundering associated with that, the complicit politicians and the complicit individuals, even the complicit courts, as you saw the judge, it's all coming out and they're all being held accountable. And I'm telling you, I live for the day when these corrupt judges are held accountable. And for viewers who have been with me a long time, you know why. So, here we have Anthony Fauci now. Now we're getting back into, because what we are going to be also hearing about is what has been happening with this gain of function research. What happened with this vaccine? I can't believe I'm saying it. They're probably going to ban me on YouTube, but what else is new, right? Anthony Fauci could face perjury charges as DNI Tulsi Gabbard assembles a team to investigate the origins of COVID-19. This is big. Gabbard pointed out that this may be why Fauci received a preemptive presidential pardon by Joe Biden on January 20th, just hours before he left office. I mean, how can you, I mean, that implicates his guilt, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Let's keep going. There's a lot to report on. Alberta, and we're going to talk about Alberta in a minute. I mean, about Canada overall, has gained 60% of the signatures required to hold a referendum on exiting Canada. Oh my goodness, listen to this. Saskatchewan plans to follow in Alberta's footstep. Let me explain what's going on. There's operations going on, folks, and I know it's hard to imagine that's really what's happening, but there really are good people, or we would have all been dead by now. And that was definitely their plan. But Canada has there's going to be a very huge corruption scandal emerging. And what's going to happen is the people are going to rise up against their government system. They're going to be exposed for the full corruption, censorship, the pandemic, and everything that they literally tortured their citizens with doing. They're going to expose the truth. I mean, the truth of all of that's going to come out. It's really happening all over the world. They're just, the mainstream media, as Stephen Miller said, has no interest in reporting what's really happening in the world. Just, when are we going to have, more hearings for illegals who are in this country? And that's all they're interested in talking about. Intel agencies within their countries in Canada, they're also going to the elites. They're going to be arrested if they haven't been already. And so Canada, keep the faith, hang in there, because good things are coming. It's hard to believe, but I'm going to explain a little bit more as the report goes on, but I have more detailed information on what's happening kind of behind the scenes. But let's keep looking. What is this about? I mean, this is Prince Andrew was reportedly totally tormented after a judge ruled that 170 Epstein associates' names would be released. So this is a big deal. He's going to be exposed. Obviously, we saw that Virginia Giuffre had committed suicide. I don't really know, but I know a lot of people like her are in witness protection, and it's really for people like her to be in witness protection. And I hope and pray to God that that's where she is. But if it's not, then I just, pray that her soul is finally released from the torment of this planet. But we need to change this. This is what I'm saying. I mean, this whole thing is being exposed. Take a listen to this in case you miss Robert David Steele, another one who either is passed on from COVID or could be in witness protection as well. And I
These children are not just
want you to hear, as a judge for a tribunal regarding child trafficking and human trafficking, he's going to explain to you a little bit more about what's really happening with the trafficking. And it's very disturbing, just to warn you.
these children are not just kidnapped and in some cases bred by families as a cash crop. We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them. And when they are sold, they come without birth certificates, which means it's easier to kill them and have no one ask where they are. We're also importing children by the plane load. Again, children who have no documentation. It's not just child slavery or child sex abuse. It's also child torture, because you have adrenalized blood. You have the whole blood drinking ceremony of the satanic world. It's also the use of children for harvesting body organs. And then you have ritual ceremonies and ritual murder, as well as incidental murder. Most organizations that end up being used to prey on children, Oxfam is a recent example, all of the United Nations organizations, the Boy Scouts of America, all of the child services agencies across the United States of America, they did not start out as organizations to prey on children, but they attract pedophiles. And ultimately, pedophiles end up rising in the ranks and controlling those organizations, so that an organization that initially started out in the service of children becomes an organization that is in fact hunting children.
Okay, that's huge. This is what's happening. This is what's going to unite the world. And this is what Q said, that the crimes against children, that what they, did to children is what's going to unite the world. This is coming. This is coming. Now, when it came to the pandemic, I think that's all I have at the moment regarding the trafficking and the fact that this is going to be exposed. But when that partial list of Epstein is released, I think a lot of people are going to be in disbelief, truly, because it's the people we trusted the most. Oh, wasn't that a Q post? So you have to start thinking that maybe the Q posts weren't, this deep state psyop after all. I'm sorry, I'm itching because I have a little sunburn. Anyway. We're talking about the spike protein. Before I get onto that, I wanted to show the clip that Robert Kennedy Jr. again, Bobby Kennedy here, had talked about regarding the labs. This is all coming out. Fauci is getting ready this is going to be huge, but Fauci's getting ready to be arrested, taken down. Let's see what happens. Maybe that might shock the world. Remember how Q said the first arrest will shock the world or something like that? I mean, quite frankly, I couldn't think of anybody being arrested that would shock me. But let's take a listen to what he had to say here.
And we need to talk about bioweapons. The level, I know a lot now about bioweapons because I've been doing a book on it for the past 2.5 years, and the technology that we now have to develop these microbes, we've put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes. The Chinese have done the same thing. In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure of the genetic structure of genetic differentials among different races of the receptors of the ACE2 receptor. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. But we don't know whether it was deliberately targeted that or not. But there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential kind of impact to that. We know that the Chinese are Hispanic.
It is very hard to listen to him talk. I'll tell you, I struggle to hear. In case you didn't hear, he said that in his opinion, there's evidence or an argument. He said that COVID-19 was created to be ethnically targeted due to the ACE2 receptor, and that came up in a reverse speech analysis by Tiffany Fontenot, who I have on the GoldFish report. It came up within the first couple of months of COVID when we first heard about it. There was a reverse speech of a woman who was crying. I had featured this video, which you probably can't find anymore on the internet, but I do have it in my report. Featured a woman in what she was saying from China. She was crying and calling out, saying what they were doing to the people, what was going on there. And it came up in her reverse speech about the ACE2. And she didn't know about the ACE2, Tiffany, and it took a long time to really find out what it was. But here it is, Bobby Kennedy talking about it. He's talking about how those that were most affected were Caucasians and African Americans or Blacks, or whatever that could be a big category. I don't know. And those who were most immune were, Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese, because the Chinese have historically been quite docile in terms of, well, that's going to change very soon, though. I think that the Chinese is because they wanted them as obedient workers or slaves, right? To the, what a coincidence. Yeah, we're going to talk about China in a minute, too, because right now there's a major revolution going on in China. And also the tariffs didn't really help, but unfortunately, Trump had to make some difficult decisions in order to bring about the change. There has to be change on this planet, and it has to be good, or it's just over, totally over. Here we have talking about the vax and talking about the gain of function issue. We have here Robert Redfield said that the biodefense was transferred to NIH, providing Tony Fauci around $40 billion to do this research for gain of function. You can listen to that too here.
People don't know this, but in 2002, 2003, the mission of biodefense that we had in our nation, which was in the U.S. Army and at Fort Detrick, was transferred to NIH under the direction of Tony Fauci. So he got somewhere like $40 billion to basically manage our biodefense program. I always argued that NIH had a different mission. I didn't see their mission was biodefense. I saw their mission was science to help improve the human condition, and I thought the Defense Department should stay in charge of the biodefense, but that all changed in 2002. I think most people don't know it, and I think it was a big mistake. So what they did was they set up a series of committees that were allowed to grant waivers and approve it. And this is some of the controversy around the Wuhan lab research, because it apparently never went through that committee. All right. And people argue a lot of it was semantics. I do disagree with Tony pretty aggressively in his testimony with Rand Paul, when he says that he's never done gain of function research, NIH has never done gain of function research. Well, what they did was, again, I think a stain on them because of the lack of transparency. Tony, different groups, and he has a lot of influence on the groups, decided they had commissions to define gain of function research since Obama had outlawed it, right? And so the groups that came together to define it came up with a definition, which I don't personally agree with. But, by the letter of the law, Tony can say that the Wuhan lab, even if it was research that was done, it didn't meet the letter of the law of gain of function. What Tony did was the groups changed, and Tony didn't do this, but as the groups that he influenced did it, they changed the definition of gain of function research. So if you and I take a pathogen like COVID-19, which is not pathogenic for humans, and we teach it to be pathogenic for humans, that's not gain of function research. Because in order to be gain of function research by their definition, National Academy and others, you have to start with a pathogen that's already pathogenic for humans. and make it more pathogenic for humans. Well, I think
I get it.
It's ludicrous.
I get it.
But on the letter of the law, when Tony tells Rand Paul he didn't do gain of function research by the definition that is accepted in science, he's telling the truth, because the definition that science said, if the pathogen wasn't a human pathogen, no matter how pathogenic you made it for man, it doesn't meet their definition. It's misleading.
Yes, absolutely misleading. It's artificial. Gain of function, I mean, if it didn't have the function to begin with, and now it's been manipulated to have the function, that's gain of function. So, I mean, that's what normal people would think. And I think most doctors and researchers would think that as well. So they changed the definition, just like they changed the definition of vaccine. You know, they are propagandists, they're deceivers, they're manipulators, they're pathological, quite honestly. So anyway, let's move along. So this is what they did with the money. So Tulsi Gabbard's getting ready to go after this big time. And she's investigating Fauci for his role and says we have to end the gain of function research, of course. And this is just the beginning of what they're talking about here with Alex Jones. Take a listen.
President Trump, with RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard and others, is preparing to bring out the truth about COVID, and that it was not just made in a lab in China, it was made by Obama and Fauci and the globalists, which is already on record. So we don't have Tulsi Gabbard, the head of national intelligence, saying, oh, we're going to expose the Chinese did it because they weren't the ones. No, it was Obama and Fauci and the globalist, and we're getting ready to bring it all out and indict them. We already have all the proof, but she's got the internal secret documents from the CIA meetings with Fauci.
Okay, so he says it's all coming out, and this is actually very true. This is what's happening right now. Here we have another individual here who's going to weigh in on Nicholas Hulsher. Talks about the engineered pathogen. Take a listen to this.
Yeah, right now we see these threats being made by people like Peter Marks, who was just ousted from the FDA. He's saying all of a sudden there's going to be these engineered pathogen threats. So they're saying Ashish Jha, former COVID czar, a few months ago said we're entering an age of bioweapons. Bill Gates has consistently warned of bioweapon attacks. And so, you know, when these people that are advocates of gain of function research, you know, we have to be on the lookout. There's about over 1,000 BSL-3 and BSL-4 biolabs in the United States alone. And many of these are conducting this gain of function research, modifying pathogens to become more dangerous, more deadly, and more transmissible to humans. This is something that needs to be shut down. We cannot have another man-made pandemic. We now know that the White House just confirmed what we've known for years, that SARS-CoV-2 did leak out of the Wuhan lab. You know, so we have to now take preemptive measures. We got to stop this research, and we got to protect the population from these man-made threats that shouldn't even be in existence.
Yeah, so he said that it was taking pathogens and making them more pathogenic to humans. So that would fit the original definition that they were talking about. But I think that, you know, regardless of whether it's the definition, it's the intent behind it. That's what really matters the most, right? Let me just check in on the live chat and see how everybody's doing there. Hi everybody. How you doing? Yeah, Mark's not here tonight because he's away for the weekend. So I just wanted to let you know. I think Virginia. Yeah, you don't think so, Cheryl? I hope not. Yeah. But the picture, oh my God, the picture of her didn't look good at all. My God, she already looked half guy. Hi Australia. How are you? Diabetes Alliance. Nice to see you. We're gonna keep going. Okay, we've got more to talk about here. Let me just screen share my screen here. Let's keep going. This all connects to who's funding this and how is it funded. And for those of you who didn't know this on the run up to the election, this was all being exposed. It's Metabiota. Again, it's coming back into the conversation. Take a listen.
Did you say the CIA
AA has a venture capital wing. Is that
Yes, firmly. It's out in the open. It's called InQtel. They're most
I
famous.
mean, those words are weird together. I don't know why. Just like venture cap, like you're, sort of government, CIA is got a venture capital, like to invest in us or invest in the work that we're doing.
Well, to invest in companies which have, I guess, strategic potential for the United States. Their most famous investment is Google. So InQtel invested in Google Maps and Google Earth and made that possible.
Wow.
And that's what everyone can relate to.
Okay.
So InQtel is actually responsible for a number of significant investments into U.S. technology, which has dual purpose or dual application.
Right.
And they don't always disclose their investments. If you go to their website and look this up, they have a disclosed portfolio and an undisclosed portfolio. One of the more interesting public disclosures is Metabiota. So Metabiota is the company that had the contracts with the Defense Threat Reduction Agency for the labs in Ukraine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that Metabiota is the company that was invested into by Rosemont Seneca, which was Hunter Biden's venture capital firm.
Okay.
So, and it actually provided you in the show with emails which actually outlined the strategic conversation with Hunter Biden and Metabiota Partners and Rosemont Seneca to get the investment for InQtel for the same kind of work we were doing at EcoHealth Alliance.
Wow.
Yeah.
We got a couple of these Hunter Biden emails. What are we looking at here? What's
so what we're looking at here is some of the key players in the biomedical national security complex. So Tara O'Toole is one of the people who was a pioneer within the Department of Homeland Security related to.
I'm going to stop there. So if you want to see the rest of this, just come on to, I have so much to report. You just go on to @ReportGoldFish. That's our X, our Twitter handle. So you can go find the rest of that here. So we know that this is true. This is why Hunter was pardoned, and it wasn't because of a felon, a gun charge. I'm sure and 100% certain that Hunter Biden was not pardoned by his father for a gun charge. Okay? No, I don't think so. So there's a lot of other news coming out. I think I need to get started on this. Yeah, Doge. So you have Doge infiltrates the Treasury. You can see that he was let's listen to what Elon Musk did this week as well. So this is in the first 100 days. Of course, Trump's 100 days need a whole nother report, which is what I was kind of hoping to do tonight. But honestly, there was way too much to report on in order to do that. But this is all part of Trump's administration, is what his cabinet's doing too. And don't think Pam Bondi's doing nothing. It's going to come. It's a big sting operation. And Q has told us this, right? Q has told us that this is a sting operation. So unfortunately, we had to, the white hats, the good guys, and there are good guys, had to let the deep state, really give them enough rope to hang themselves with, if you understand what I mean by that. So listen to what he has to say here.
A lot of great work at the Treasury this week. One of the crazy things with regards to the Treasury is that when a payment is made, and the computers at the Treasury actually pay about $5 trillion per year, like crazy amounts, there was formerly not a budget code on there. So if a payment was made, you didn't know actually what it was for. It could have been for anything. Yeah. There was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education, and there was no receipts required, so people could just draw down on it. And when people looked into it, this wasn't us, this was before us, they found that money was being used to rent out Caesar's Palace for parties, rent out stadiums, et cetera. And so the one change that Doge made with the Department of Education is we had the simple requirement that if you draw down money, you must first upload a receipt. That was the only change that was made. You must upload your receipt. And upon doing so, yes, nobody drew down any money anymore.
Yes, but we didn't say that we'd check the receipt. You could send a fake receipt. You could send a picture of your dog. Anything.
Anything.
Anything. But as soon as we asked for anything at all, suddenly the requests were like, oh, we don't need it anymore. Huh, that's interesting.
They were renting Caesar's Palace.
Yes, they were like basically partying on the taxpayer money.
Stadiums.
Yes.
Leasing stadiums.
Leasing stadiums.
For what?
For parties, basically.
For parties.
Yes.
That's a big party.
It's a big party.
You'd think if you were stealing, you'd start small.
They do start small. But then what happens is over the years, so generally the fraud starts out small and they try to hide it. But then year after year, if nobody stops the fraud, it gets more and more brazen. And every year it gets bigger. until they're literally renting out stadiums. Like
What's that, $1 million to rent out a stadium?
Fraud in flagrante delicto, okay? We're talking at scale.
This is driving me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
When you find these things, do you guys get mad? You're like, yes, I got one. How does it make you feel?
It's so common.
It's so common.
You're like used to it.
I mean, you just
get so numb to it.
Unfortunately, like the 100th time you've heard it, it's hard not to get a little numb.
Yeah.
You know, but and by the time you're like, well, okay.
Wow, that's big. All this corruption, folks, is being exposed. All of it. Every single bit of it. And this is what has the deep state in panic mode, absolutely in panic mode. You have Tulsi Gabbard here, and she is going after this funding of the gain of function biolabs all around the world. And she's absolutely now investigating COVID and let's see. I don't think where did it go? The gain of function, yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal what's happening, the consequences of this. These labs were funded by our government, are conducting experiments and manipulate pathogens to make them more dangerous, creating bioweapons. Tulsi Gabbard just confirmed they're being used to create pandemics and manufacture health crises. You know, if we haven't got enough to worry about, we are struggling every day to try to just survive, live our lives, raise our families. And you know, it's just like, what else are they throwing at us? And they've been doing this for generations, folks. This, you know, isn't the first time. You know, it says in the Bible, nothing new under the sun. It's all been here before, right? So this is a big deal. And keep an eye on what's going on with Tulsi Gabbard. So this was an interesting unexpected find that I found this week. This isn't part of the POTUS report, but I think you should come by the page here and take a look. This was a woman who asked AI, I guess it was Alexa or someone, about why they're trying to block out the sun. And trust me, you want to hear this. So please come to @Report GoldFish and watch the feed. It's got interesting information in this. All this is interesting. Look at this. What else is happening? Monday begins the Sean Diddy Combs sex crimes trial. This is huge. This stuff has been covered up for years and years and years. And finally, it's coming out in the open. And what's going to be exposed from this is also going to completely blow people away. The child trafficking, the exposure, the political corruption, the financial exposure, all converging. It's like all on a collision course at the same time. How did we lose 300,000 children? Oh, it's just going to be heartbreaking to know we're not going to be able to get that back. But crimes against children is going to unite humanity. In fact, folks, that's the one thing that has to unite the world. If we don't unite as human beings, then we're going to lose our right to be here. And I know that we have divine intervention helping us, but we have to be seen as fighting for our right to live on this planet. So that'll come up more. Here we go again. We have other individuals admitting about these. Here's a guy who wants to published a paper called Ultra Terrestrials, talking about interdimensionals. And it's all in the Bible. I'm telling you, I've already screen shared the section that talks about the how they talk about aliens in the Bible, and they're the hybrids, and we're going to talk about that too in just a minute. Let's see, what else did I wanted to talk about here? Okay, so at this point, oh yeah, the Vatican. Boy, that's interesting. It's funny, I have different sources on the Vatican. It looks like, some want a black pope, some want a Filipino pope, and then others, are saying, well, there was a pope, let's see, the white pope. There's also a black pope and a gray pope. And they're saying that really there's a war going on inside the Vatican for control. So we're going to get into these other intel reports right now. This is really a plan to save the world, honest to God. I mean, Trump, this whole Q operation is what it has been, a sting operation to catch them all, to catch all the deep state. Can you imagine? I mean, there was a video out there called Plan to Save the World, and it was showing how these criminals got to very high levels of society, of our governments, of our world leaders, of our institutions, and they all committed and covered up for their own crimes. We can't have the government committing crimes and putting it under classified so that nobody ever gets access to it, and there's no FOIA requests that can access it either. So it's virtually, they go on a crime spree and there's no accountability and the people never know about it. This amount of crime has been so long standing. It's been so widespread. It's really been an infiltration, like a parasitic infestation of our planet and on humanity, in fact. So let's keep going. Trump right now is in he is in control. And we know this because his uncle John took the Tesla papers and who knows what else. We know that Tesla, I believe, was also friends with Howard Hughes, who there's a lot of mystery around him as well. So he was into time travel and teleportation or things like that. So Trump is in control of very powerful technology in this world, and he's not ready to release it to humanity yet, but he will. And this is going to include med beds as well. Trump, though, in all of his press releases, even like Tom Homan, and they're all giving comms, all of them. They're giving comms in their press statements. Trump is going to go after Fauci for exposing what really happened with the pandemic, as I just showed. The vaccine, in terms of China, CCP, the Vatican, all of this. The Ponzi scheme with the stock market, that's going to come down. We are getting a new financial system. It is almost ready. The rails are in for it. And it's just a matter of timing. And it's on Trump's time. It's all up to Trump right now. All of it. The revaluation of the world currencies. All of this is Trump's really part of, as I said in the beginning of the report, a massive global cleanup operation that's underway. You have people protesting all over the world. You have what's happening in China. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. Let's keep going. These are stages. Oh yeah, and there's also good guys in terms of these aliens, or in terms of there's very, very, very highly evolved entities, I would just say it that way, that are helping the Space Force, working with the Space Force, working with the government, Trump, and the positive military to take down the deep state. I mean, how do you do it? If the world was, I mean, can you just, when you have a whole world that has Stockholm syndrome, how on earth are you going to take down those who their captors if they all have Stockholm syndrome without them fighting back, fighting for them? That's what Stockholm syndrome is, right? So this had to be done in stages. This had to be done, and certain dark, moves that they were making had to be allowed to be played out in order to catch them, in order to, like they say, it's a sting operation. So stages, the Great Awakening is happening, and it's going to bump up another level. It's going to be worldwide. Golden technology. There's even like living intelligent computers, things that have this intelligence that we have no idea how. We don't have access to this. The people don't have access to this right now. The kind of technology that's going to come out is just going to blow your mind. According to my sources, the Pope was executed, yet I have other sources that say he died of COVID. Everybody's got an agenda. I'll tell you, this is why sometimes I was very happy when I found Mark, and I decided I was going to do a different way of reporting, because it got to the point where it was, when I was getting conflicting information from two very reliable sources, I was just like, I give up. Not that I didn't give up reporting, but I really had to take a step back and assess these things for myself as best as I could. And we're not privy to everything. And reconsider how I wanted to report and what I wanted to report. But Klaus Schwab resigning was a sign to the deep state that they lost, basically. So again, these are all comms. The truth is amazing, unbelievable. Quite honestly, unbelievable. Aliens, angels, UAPs. Some are bad. There's demons, there's other things, there's other hybrids that are bad, and we know that from the line of Cain. Oh, and they don't want to hear that. I think that was actually the race that was most immune to the vaccine. But let's keep going. Right. So they're bringing the truth. A lot of this is going to relate to the Montauk Project and the kinds of technology that they were doing through the Montauk Project. And we know that the Philadelphia experiment was also part of the Montauk Project, but not the whole thing. The Philadelphia experiment was, had to do with teleportation. So all this is going to come out. I presume, since no more people have returned molecularly bonded into Navy ships, that we have mastered how to operate that technology at this point. But there are, God uses people in different ways. He may use people for good and he may use people for bad, for certain reasons that we don't understand. We can't possibly understand God's reasons, right? But there will be people working on behalf of God to bring the wrath of God to who it needs to be brought to. Military is guiding this. The people have to be. This is the whole thing. The people. You can't have someone else do it for us. Why? Because we'll let it happen again. So we have to be part of this. This is why it had to impact us. Crimes against children will unite humanity. All of us, regardless of your color of your skin, your eyes, whether you have teeth, no teeth, whether you have gray hair, black hair, it doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. The banks, the funded groups, I'm sorry, CIA funded gangs coming into the US, it's all going to be exposed. So when you have this level of corruption and you're trying to take it down, if you were to try to take it down all at once, the world would really destabilize. And I think they've done enough game theory computer modeling to see that would happen, because of the level of awareness or ignorance, and not to be confused with stupidity, just ignorance of the American people. And it's been designed that way to keep us ignorant, that it would just really flip people out, I think. So their concern is to make sure that humanity, that the world is stabilized, that there's we have to have the mass awakening. So these very high level, according to my sources, these very high level beings, these highly evolved beings that are helping, normally don't get involved in humanity's affairs. But what was happening was, with CERN and all of these dark satanic rituals and this dark energy, it really started to affect our timelines and started to affect, like, this Mandela effect. This wasn't supposed to happen. It threw humanity completely in a direction it wasn't supposed to go. And so they have been getting involved in helping us. And the way, from what I understand from my sources, is that we have to be part of our own evolution. We can't just sit by and let this happen. So we have divine assistance, and things are being leaked little by big account influencers. But we have to keep it stable. We can't have people like going crazy and jumping off of, we can't have mass hysteria. Although we had it very closely during COVID. Yes, we did, but it wasn't everybody. It was just the really unhinged people. And I'm not going to get into that. But the disclosure is going to keep happening and at accelerated pace. This is all connected to the intelligence and UAP operations, disclosure projects, things like that, super advanced technologies. In fact, we have technology, according to my source, we have technology that literally you could extend your life indefinitely. I'm not sure if you want to, but this is the kind of technology that we have. And if you remember biblically, we have Noah being 900, 800, 900 years old. We had Enoch being 900 years old. Hundreds and hundreds of years they lived. Well, where did they go? Do we ever hear about them dying? Where's the tomb of Enoch? Where's the tomb of Noah? Actually, I did see a tomb of Noah. It was like huge. So they weren't exactly, like us. Exactly. I mean, they were a little bit bigger, so maybe they were, we'll see. They were bigger. We have technology that can allow us to travel to very distant places, teleportation technology. Trump is laying the groundwork with this Golden Dome. This Golden Dome is much more than you realize. It is super AI technology. The arrests, the storm across the world, all of this is coming. Governments are going to be forced to bring in their disclosure projects, to do mass arrests, and to restructure government. So you're going to start seeing government leaders being arrested. We're going to and members of their cabinets and parliaments and things are being arrested. The Great Awakening, all the election corruption is going to be exposed. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to report on was these blackouts that were happening down in Spain, Portugal, and Italy, I think. They're trying to blame Russia on this. Of course, poor Putin, he has to get blamed for everything, right? But there's mass confusion about it because they're trying to say, the globalists, let's just say, are trying to say that it's Russia that did it. But the people who run these systems, these are transmission system operations, okay? These TSO. There's a group that does oversight to these TSO, and they're all arguing inside, and they knew that this was an intentional stand down of their nuclear and hydroelectric systems. They were shut down intentionally. And the European Parliament, you see, the intelligence, the people on the inside, they shut it down. This is part of Five Eyes. So this is huge panic. Europe is really making their people suffer. They really need to protest. They need to get out there and protest. But they're coming. And they're also, actually, they've already been happening. I mean, you should see this huge protest over in Ireland. They're all finally getting out there because, I guess, primarily also because of the mass migration and the destruction of their culture and history. But what's happening in the UK, that's a shame. That is a real shame what's happening there. But they are making their people suffer. Their inflation is double. They're paying double for everything at this point, or double and a half. Rents to food to you name it. So the people in Europe are struggling right now. You remember, they're trying to say that this was a cyber attack, but this was deliberate, according to my sources. You remember Klaus Schwab warned that there would be cyber attacks worse than the pandemic, but we'll see. I don't think that's going to happen, but the person who took over Klaus Schwab was the CEO of Nestle, who believed that human beings don't have a right to water. Well, we need to take care of that one too, okay? Because that guy and that kind of thinking is destroying this world that we live in. So it's also all this corruption is going to lead back to DARPA, back to military operations, and DARPA was in charge of this military coup I think they're referring to the 2020 election. So right now you have Pam Bondi working very hard behind the scenes doing investigations on all of this stuff. You can imagine they're extremely busy But you can't just go arrest all these people without having investigations and without cleaning out the judiciary, without cleaning out, you know, the corruption and the crimes in especially in the courts and the judiciary. So that's bringing down the deep state. People in China, see right now with Xi Jinping, there's a lot of protests going on in China, and the tariffs have hurt China. The manufacturing is at a standstill because the orders have stopped, because no one wants to pay the tariff fees. The ports are stopped mostly, and the jobs, people are losing their jobs, and that's not all. I mean, there were reasons before, but the Chinese people are going to be protesting. They're going to stand up against the CCP and Xi Jinping. Now, Xi Jinping has a history with his father, with the his lineage, with regard to, he came into power with the purpose of removing the CCP, even if it meant to remove himself in the process. And that's what's going to happen. It's like a sacrificial move for Xi Jinping. What's going to happen is each of the provinces in China are going to have their own, I would say, GDP. They're going to have their own independent government, but they're all going to be part of a union. So eventually China will become a republic and the CCP will be no longer. So it's really good news. It's just that this is, again, it's not something that you can do overnight, right? And also the deep state's trying to start a war, but they can't. And that's really one of the reasons why they blamed Russia on this blackout, because they wanted to have a reason. They wanted to use that as the justification for war, but no one's going along with it. The white hats that are working over there, they know it was an inside job, and they know it was it was an intentional stand down. So too many people don't want to blame Russia. The deep state isn't going, things aren't going according to their plan. And, Bill White, who was, Carrie Cassidy did an interview on Project Camelot regarding Bill White, who was a military, I don't know, game theory operator, I think he was a Navy SEAL, was talking about how he worked on Project, how could I forget this? I reported on this so many times. Looking Glass, right? So the Looking Glass technology showed him that all the timelines were going to converge, and that like it was like a chess game, and that both players knew that the good guys were going to win, and both people knew. So the bad guys knew the only thing that would save them was if the good guys made a mistake, and that the bad guys knew exactly what they needed to do in order to win. And the only thing that they could do was force the bad guys to make their move, because they could delay it indefinitely, right? But they were able to put pressure on them and to force them into making their moves. And that's where we're at. We're at that point now, looks like, right? The kill switch of the grid. We knew from Klaus Schwab that there was one. There's too much evidence to support that this was an intentional stand down. And like I said, people don't want to be blaming Russia. The wind turbines broke down, the solar panels, everything like that. So it was an intentional stand down. So that's a big mess going on over there. Again, so China will collapse. And this is what I was saying before. Again, operations were running trillions of dollars for the Vatican, running huge drug trade with China, and world slavery system out of China. So this is really, folks, I'm telling you, we're really getting to the point where you have to start seeing how the whole world is connected, and how every country has to take down their deep state. Every country has to replace that government that was corrupt. And that's a big deal. That's not, a little operation, right? That's why things have to happen in stages, because people have to have time to assimilate the information and see how it changes. They're gradually, very incrementally, All right, so here's where the incrementalization is important, because it's not that so we don't notice it, it's just that it's not too destabilizing and too traumatizing for humanity, right? Okay, so all of this stuff is happening. Let's see what else we have. These angels, supposedly working with Space Force, living technology, working with Trump and white hat operators to expose the corruption and all and everything that was done that was hidden. And it's not until all these other things, the corruption has to be gone. So the very high evolved entities that are helping our government cannot come out into the public. We cannot know about this until we're ready. What does that mean? No more corruption. There has to be an accountability, in terms of the judiciary until there has to be no wars. They're not going to deal with us if we're going to want to keep dropping bombs, right? So this is what we have to look forward to. This is what's going to come out. How do we know who's good and who's not good? Well, that's a very good question. And I think I'll keep digging on that and find out, right? Because according to the Bible, there are good angels. But there's bad ones and they've been here. And that's the rest is history, isn't it? But through God, many different dimensions and like God force energy is literally helping us at this point. And I would say, maybe that would be prayers too. And prayers help. Every one of them gets heard. Every one of them might not get answered, but gets heard, right? Only then can the civilization on Earth see these advanced beings, the positive ones, the miracles behind the med beds, the technology, how to, all this stuff is going to be released, how to grow food in a healthy way. And I presume more like electroculture kind of thing, saving animals, time travel. But the United States is moving very fast with this because of Trump. Most countries in the world are about 2 to 2.5 years behind us because of it. But what's going to be disclosed is going to be clones, hybrids, and we already know about the story of hybrids in the Bible when it came to the Canaanites. Okay, demons, angels, aliens, the fallen angels, how they became evil spirits roaming the earth. I mean, we know this. It's not new. The Bible's real. I'm telling you, it's real. All right. The corruption in the banking system. This is another thing, because this is how they kept us slaves, slavery system, right? The pandemic military operations expose the deep state operations, all the missing people, right? The world has to be united. It has to be united. All of this corruption has to be out in the open and exposed, or it's just going to happen again. So Trump right now, President Trump is working in stages, and he's this massive info on golden technology is not just talking about this golden dome. This has to do with, that's a communication system. So this allows them to have comms that are outside of the normal realm of our communication system. And they need that. Great Awakening, it's all part of the Great Awakening. It's literally a living intelligent computer. Now, does that mean artificial intelligence? I don't think so. I don't know. Oh, that might be Project Looking Glass or Yellow Book, things that were retrieved from the alien crashes years ago back in Roswell and since probably. But Trump is controlling it all. And it's interesting because back in 2017, the front cover of the Economist magazine issued the issue was the year ahead. They do a series of the year ahead, and Trump appeared. It was like about eight. It was like 2 rows of tarot cards, and Trump was sitting on top of the world. So, it's interesting because they were correct. That's what he's doing. Yeah, I mean, people need to be guided into understanding these things. even this advanced technology. They're but we have to go and get these corrupt leaders out of the way. Now, Epstein and Kash Patel, everything, they have everything, all the videos. They have terabytes of videos of all the politicians, leaders, musicians, you name it, influential people on video compromised with in pedophilia, unfortunately, and far worse. I think he got it all from the New York FBI, who had the laptops with that information in it. And then the FBI sent it out to all the local and state FBIs and then globally around the world. So that everybody, now these investigations are starting. They're doing investigations because they can see who's on the videos. They know the world leaders. They know the countries. They know the locations, and they're looking for the victims. And there's reports of hundreds of victims, but I find that hard to believe. I think it's more thousands of victims. So this is it. This spans thousands of years, though. Oh no, I'm sorry, thousands of videos, and it has. I mean, this adrenochrome harvesting of these children, this is centuries it's been happening. So right now we have military ops going after Fauci, sting operations to bring it down the deep state. And you had heard that the pandemic was a sting operation. So it is. You have to catch them in their crimes, and then that's how you're going to stop them. But you had to get somebody like Trump in who was willing to do that. And I'm telling you, folks, this was absolute, very, very intelligent planning, this whole thing, in order to bring down all the evil. They have to restructure the whole judicial system. There's no point in arresting them and bringing them to court if we still have corrupt judges. So that had to happen. We know that Fauci was part of the gain of function operations, which I showed in the beginning, those video clips. Financial system, have to track those people who are involved in those operations and their funds. Yeah. Trump had to expose the deep state and put Fauci right in front regarding the biolabs in Ukraine, CIA, and the Pentagon. Now, as I've said before, Tulsi Gabbard will now expose all the operations of gain of function. So, this is going to be a little bit hard for people to hear because they all, for people who took the jab, when they really find out what it was all about. And, that's hopefully these med beds that are going to come out, med beds or other technologies that are supposed to come out to be helpful to humanity and help us heal from all of this. So that's it. Pam Bondi, DOJ is going after all of this. They have the information. It's funny because these departments said that they deleted like a terabyte of information, and you have Elon Musk saying, no, you don't understand, how nothing's deleted. You don't understand technology. And so he was able to retrieve all the terabytes that were deleted. And boy, I'm telling you, people are very much in panic mode. It's going to lead back to Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Global Techs, Bill Gates, Microsoft behind the scenes. Microsoft was working on this for a long, long time, longer than most people know, and that will all be disclosed. There's going to be military tribunals. There probably already are. I am not invited there, but that's fine. I wouldn't be able to go anyway right now. But most of them are, there's going to be military tribunals of generals who are part of this pandemic. It was a trap, really. It was a trap for the deep state, and the deep state just couldn't help but falling right into it, but he will expose all of their operations, and also the fake cyber attacks, blaming everything on Russia. Of course, I think everybody's pretty tired of that now. The arrests are starting, though, as we saw that Tom Homan is going after the blue state leaders who were, have these sanctuary cities and were assisting illegals, hiding them, and also probably for the pandemic and, what happened with these elderly in the hospital. It's sad to know that the hospitals were offered $38,000 a piece for patients if they claim the patients died of COVID, no matter what they died from. They put it on that they died from COVID, and they all got, and all the hospitals were suffering financially from And so this was an opportunity they couldn't pass up. Their greedy hands couldn't pass up, was murdering people for $38,000 each. And it's all going to come out, folks. It's going to shock people. It's really going to shock people. We're going to need time to get over all of this, right? It's all RFK is going to go on as he has, but DARPA creating operations, human trafficking, and things of that nature. Yeah, so the arrest wars are coming. They're in panic mode. It's absolutely amazing what's happening in the world. And, you know, there is more. You can't have this golden age of humanity, right? You can't have all this revaluation of currency. Some are going to go up, some are going to go down in value, but a lot of, people are going to make money on it. And you can't have, and all this prosperity coming back, all this money that Elon Musk saved, through his audits of the department. Like, I didn't know he was an auditor, but whatever. He knows technology, so I guess he knew how to find things and whatever. Uh, like, I never really knew why he put Elon Musk in that position, but it doesn't matter. He got the job done. He had his team there who helped him, and they did an amazing job because we had no accountability. I mean, we had blank checks being written without any accountability, and we have deep state operations. And this goes back to the hybrids. We have hybrids among us. We have all kinds of operations and underground bases. And Catherine Austin Fitz recently just talked about how these underground bases were made for some kind of cataclysmic event that they were going. It wasn't really just continuity of government in case of a nuclear explosion or a nuclear war or something. There's thousands. There's like 1,800 at least in the United States of these underground bases that were all connected by these maglev trains. That would take you basically anywhere in the world in like an hour. It's very hard to understand this, but this is what they were doing. This is the geologist Phil Schneider was working on these tunnels and tunnel systems, and accidentally breached a den of really, really negative ETs down in these in the Dulce base and underground base, and it almost killed him. But he went out to talk about it, and then they eventually killed him. Of course, William Cooper, was also who worked for Naval Intelligence, also reported about these events, reported about how they took kids who were at high risk and put them on psychotropic medication, and then you could easily trigger them to do basically anything. And of course, this warfare with all this frequency and technology and this Havana effect and things of that nature, all of that is part of keeping people in line, or part of torturing people, or part of triggering people to go do mass shootings. I mean, it's amazing to know the extent to which the evil on this planet went to in order to continue to be evil and to feed off of humanity like the parasites that they are. So anyway, I'm gonna kind of jump into the chat just to say hello to everybody before I sign out. Yeah, from Australia. I know there wasn't really much. Hi, happy birthday, Dan. How are you? Happy birthday. Yep. Blessing. Yeah, greetings. Good to see you. Happy birthday. That's his birthday. Everybody wish him a happy birthday, please. Happy birthday to Dan. All right. Yeah, we pray, and I think it's a good idea to keep praying to make sure that all of the corruption gets cleaned up, and that once that happens, and only when that happens, can we really bring out advanced technology? Can we really bring out cures for diseases? Can we really bring out because otherwise the criminals would be, the deep state would still be there, killing people who do talk about it, killing people who bring it, out, this information, talking about this very advanced technology that we have. Yeah, talking about a very advanced technology. We can't have this prosperity. Trump had said in his comments on Air Force One, he says, we're going to have so much money, you're not going to know what to do, where to spend it all. Well, we'll see. We're all waiting for that. Is that through the revaluation of the currencies? Partially. Is it refunds from all the money that was found? That can you imagine all that money, billions of dollars that nobody needed to be taxed for? Like it really didn't go to any government, official government function. It went for corruption. It went to line the pockets of the people who worked in these offices, the people who we trusted the most, the people who hid the money and took the money and used it to enrich themselves. The Congress with their insider trading to enrich themselves and become multimillionaires. This is the problem. So it's coming down, folks, little by little by little. And crimes against children is what's going to unite humanity. And we better unite. We better come together, regardless of where we live, what our beliefs are. We better come together. Now, the Satanists may have a problem with that. They may, that's really, we're going to stop their supply of children that they want to do ritual abuse and torture on. And that's the way it goes. So I want to thank everybody who's been with me tonight. I appreciate it. I had a lot to report on. Please share this video. You can go to our BitChute channel also, you can upload it. You can share the video. Please spread this far and wide so everybody can, we can get better circulation on this. I'm rebuilding the 4th channel now, but you have to be careful. We wait and see who ends up taking over all of this. Legacy media just is pretty much worthless, still pandering to the globalists and their agenda, their fake narratives or fake news. So, that's what we need. We need to have truth. If I had sponsors, I would be back down in at the White House reporting from there. They're waiting for me to send, I've spoken to them and they're, told me to go ahead and apply for it, but I just can't afford to go. I don't have an operating budget. I don't have a sponsor right now to do that. But I would definitely be open to one, but I would be very careful because I don't want it to be like from a source that expects me to toe some sort of line of some sort. I report the truth and nobody influences what I report or how I report. Never, ever, once. That's why I've struggled all this time. I'm not these high paid influencers with these channels. I'm censored and I don't have that. But you know what? I'm giving you the best truth I can, the best truth I can find. And when I can't find it, I don't report it. I'm just not going to go on to report nothing. I'm not going to be tempted by, the dollar signs of the, subscriptions or anything like that. So I just want you to have the truth. I want a better world for my kids and for yours. And that's what this is all about. So I don't know why that is showing. It looks like they did something to my recording. Oh, I have a feeling they stopped my recording. Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I think this is long enough for tonight. Mark will be back next week, and then we'll do some more questions and answers with Mark. And of course, I'm going to keep trying to report some more POTUS reports as we go along. I don't know why the beginning of my report is showing. I have a feeling maybe they shut down my broadcast. I don't know, but I have no idea why that just happened. But anyway, everybody enjoy your weekend. It's we have nice weather. It's not too bad right now up in the Northeast. I want to thank you all for joining me, and thanks for your messages, and we'll see you all next week. Until then, please share the video and be well. Enjoy the weekend. This concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.